Um, Welcome back to another episode of the More We Need to Know series. I'm not gonna tally you long today. Just wanted to come on and say a few things. I'm your host, Supreme L, and it's always an honor and a pleasure to be with you and have you with me because you could be anywhere else, but you have come and share this moment in time with me, and I give thanks. Um, I want to go on a little um, something that I was studying, but first I would like to go over a few things, right? And I want to do one-on-one questionnaire. If you don't mind, you can read along with me. We're gonna try to get through most of them today, but I just want to make sure that we do put some on the record, and it will be a continuation of these of our questionnaires coming from um, the Holy Prophet Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, Prophet Noble Ali. And again, this is coming from the great sister in Khalifa Media. So I want to give her Sister Tawhida Naji Ula El, if I'm not butchering her name, please forgive me. But I give honors to the great sister, mother. All right, number one, who made you? Allah. Who is Allah? Allah is the Father of the universe. Can we see him? No. Where is the nearest place we can meet him? In the heart. Who is Noble Drew Ali? He is Allah's prophet. What is a prophet? A prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in flesh. What is the duty of a prophet? To save nations from the wrath of Allah. Who is the founder of the Moor Science Temple of America? Noble Drew Ali. What year was the Moor Science Temple of America founded? 1913 AD. And also let's keep them dates in mind, okay? Significant things happened at this time to try to counter the prophet, because he was definitely putting things in place for us. Where? Newark, New Jersey. Big ups to Newark, New Jersey. Family there. Where was Noble Drew Ali born or manifested? In the state of North Carolina. What is his nationality? Moorish American. What is your nationality? Moorish American. Why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans born in America. For what purpose was the Moorish Science Temple founded? For the uplifting of fallen humanity. How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans? By teaching them to be themselves. Be yourself. What is our religion? And that is Islamism. Is that a new or is that an old time religion? It's an old time religion. What kind of flag is the Moorish flag? It is a red flag with a five-pointed green star in the center. What do the 5 points represent? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. How old is our flag? It is over 10,000 years old. What is our holy day? Friday. Why? Because Friday is the day on which man was formed in flesh, and it was on Friday when he departed out of flesh. Who was Jesus? He was a prophet of Allah. Where was he born? In Bethlehem of Judah, in the house of David. Who were his father and mother? Joseph and Mary. Will you give in brief the lineage or genealogy or line through which Jesus came? Some of the great fathers through which Jesus came are Abraham, Boaz by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary. Why did Allah send Jesus to this earth? To save the Israelites from the iron hand oppression of the pale-skinned nations of Europe who were governing a portion of Palestine at that time. How long has that been? About 2,000 years ago. What was the nationality of Ruth? Ruth was a Moabitess. What is the modern name for the Moabites? Moroccans. Where is the Moroccan Empire? Northwest of Mexam. What is the modern name for Mexam? Africa. What is the title given to our ruler in Morocco? Sultan. Where do we get the name Jesus? From the East. What does the name Jesus mean? Jesus means justice. Did the angel give to the child that was called Jesus a holy name? Yes, but it cannot be used by those who are. What is an angel? An angel is a thought of Allah manifested in human flesh. What are angels used for? To carry messages to the four corners of the world, to all nations. What is our prophet to us? He is an angel of Allah who is sent to bring us the everlasting gospel of Allah. What is the everlasting gospel? It is a saving power that comes from Allah through our ancient fathers by his prophet. What is the covenant of the great God Allah? Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land which the Lord thy God Allah hath given thee. At what age did Jesus begin to teach? At the age of 12. Where did he teach? India, Africa, and Europe. How long did he teach? 18 years. What did Jesus say would make you free? Truth. What is truth? Truth is ought. What is ought? Ought is Allah. Can truth change? Truth cannot change or pass away. What other name do we give to truth? Holy breath. What have you to say about the holy breath? All we can say is, it is great. It is good. It was, it is, and evermore to be. Amen. Ra. At what place on earth was the physical part of man formed? In the Garden of Eden. Where is the Garden of Eden? In the land of Canaan, in the city of Mecca. What is the modern name for the Garden of Eden? Mecca. What is the name of the first physical man? His name cannot be used only by executive rulers of the AC of the MST of A. What are the words of AC and the MST of A? Atom chamber of the Moor Science Temple of America. Third heaven. Who were Adam and Eve? They are the mothers and fathers of the human family, Asiatic and Muslims. Where did they go? They went into Asia. What is the modern name given to their children? Asiatics. Who is guarding the holy city of Mecca today to keep the unbelievers away? Angels. What is the modern name for those angels? Asiatics. What is the shade of their skin? Olive tone. Are the Moorish Americans any relation to these angels? Yes. We all have the same father and mother. Give 5 names that are given to the descendants of Adam and Eve. Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. What is the devil sometimes called? The lower self. How many selves are there? 2. Can we name them? Higher self and lower self. What people represent the higher self? The angels who protect the holy city of Mecca. What people represent the lower self? Those who were cast out of the holy city and those who accept their teachings. What is the higher self? The higher self is the mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life and breeds justice, mercy, love, and right. Can the higher self pass away? No. Why? Because it is Allah in man. What does the lower self breed? Hatred, slander, lewdness, murders, theft, and everything that harms. What did the higher self say to the lower self at one time when he met him? Where are you going, Satan? What was the answer the higher self gave to the lower self? I am going to and fro the earth, seeking whom I may devour. Has he finished his task of devouring? Devouring? Yes. When was this time declared out? When he nailed Jesus on the cross. What are the last words Jesus uttered? It is finished. What did he have reference to? He had reference to the end of Satan. Did Jesus say that he would return to conquer him? Yes. What is the name of the person until it was Prophet Muhammad, the conqueror? Was Satan to be bound then? Satan was to be bound in part. When was the head of Satan taken off? 1453 Byzantine. By whom? Muhammad. Name some of the marks that were put upon the Moors of Northwest by the European nations in 1774. Negro, black, colored, and Ethiopian. And as we could tell, colored means something fake, not real. Look it up. What is meant by the word Negro? Negro is a name given to a river in West Africa by the Moors because it contains black water. What is meant by the word black? Black, according to science, means death. What does the word colored mean? Colored means anything that has been painted, stained, varnished, or dyed. Also, what does Ethiopian mean? Ethiopian means something divided. Can a man be a Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian? No. Why? Because man is made in the image and after the likeness of God, Allah. What title does Satan give himself? God. Will you define the word white? White means purity. Purity means God, and God means the ruler of the land. So you are the white people. To whom do we refer to at times as being the great God? Allah. Is the devil made in the image and likeness of Allah? No. He is a shadow of our lower selves and will pass away. Who made the devil? Elohim. Who is Elohim? Elohim is the seven creative spirits that created everything that ever was, is, and evermore to be. What is Elohim sometimes called? The seven eyes of Allah. How many days are in a circle? 7 days. How many days are in creation? 7 days. According to science, how many days are in a year? 7 days. Islam. Just wanted to run that to you. And we do have additional laws for the Moorish Americans, and we'll get into that, which, as you can see, it goes into the temples, okay? And according to our meetings, these should be followed. All right, so, but I want to get into a book that I found very interesting, and it is a lot. It is a lot, and it is called Cracking the Code. All right, and you ought to get that. Cracking the Code, and it's a very interesting piece of work. And one of the categories or chapters is the truth about esquires addressing the U.S. judicial system, which I found very, very opening. Just, you do know that we are Moorish Americans. This is our land, ancestral estate, and it has been a very intricate plot on us and our people to try to divide us and keep us from the knowledge of who we are and how we are tied to this land, being our ancestral heritage, her inheritance and heritage of this land. And most of our injuries we do find come from the judicial system, and it's all tied together. So I want to go into this pretty read here. And we're going to start off the truth about esquires, addressing the U.S. judicial system. Probably the most foundational dentum that must be confronted by today's student of the law, if such student has any hope of achieving ongoing success in the application of knowledge of law, is that all law in this statement includes every genre of codified law in existence capped off by the UCCs or the Uniform Commercial Code has been stealthily and artfully converted into private corporate policy, and that the administrators of this corporate policy are none other than actors within and without the insolvent, bankrupt commercial enterprise known as United States and its creditors, the Federal Reserve, International Monetary Fund Syndicate. Governments use laws, corporations use policy. This is one reason why the term policy or public policy has replaced its predecessor, public law, in common legal parlance, the news, media, and elsewhere. Oh, pardon me. You may have wondered why the term United States in the previous paragraph is not preceded by the word the. The United States is a socialism institutionalized by consent used over a long period of time. There's nothing plural about the contemporary use of the term United States. United States is a singular proper noun, and correct usage does not include the antecedent definite article the. United States is a corporate trade name like General Motors and identifies a corporation, albeit federal and municipal, but a corporation nevertheless. Just as General Motors does not imply a plural number of motors that are somehow general in nature. United States does not imply a plural number of states that are somehow united, just as proper English does not include the Canada, the Finland, the Egypt, and the like in common parlance. It likewise does not include the United States, and the implication of a plural number of states slyly and injuriously implants an erroneous notion in the mind of readers/listeners, just as the state of Great Britain appears in the Declaration of Independence of 1776, and the state of Israel is mentioned daily in the news media. The state of United States is far more accurate an identifier for what is erroneously conveyed by use of the socialism, the United States. United States, the proper recital of the name, identifies the for-profit bankrupt commercial enterprise incorporated on February 21st, 1871 in Washington, D.C. And we keep that date in mind as well, and year. Presently managed by the receiver in bankruptcy, Secretary of the Treasury of Puerto Rico, aka Secretary of the Treasury. Okay. The most insidious jurisdiction. The following legal precept, however simple, reveals the source of more personal and international grief, misery, suffering, despair, chaos, and loss of life than can be presently be imagined by nearly anyone outside the inner circle, and that is payment. Consideration sets the form of law, i.e., the mode of payment in any particular transaction sets the applicable jurisdiction for resolution of any dispute, controversy arising out of any matter concerning that transaction. And we know there's no such thing as payment, and we will get into that payment as well. This unassuming little phorism points the way for the serious student of history, politics, and economics, past all the highfalutin authorities and through the looking glass and into sprawling spectacle of the most perversive uh, and all-consuming confidence game in the history of the world. It transcends all national boundaries and establishes venue for the unqualified commercial conquest of mankind, the artificial, private, corporate jurisdiction of Federal Reserve notes. All courtrooms in America today are commercial marketplaces dealing in matters bearing exclusively upon the private commercial script known as Federal Reserve notes. The notion of the halls of justice is an ancient fable. Today's courtrooms are impersonal businesses under the jurisdiction of a foreign occupying military power that are managed from the bench, from the Italian banca or bank, by merchant bankers called judges and magistrates, who enforce private copyrighted corporate policy known as codes, wholly owned by British corporations. The business of the court consists of admitting attorneys or atturners, look that up, wishing to conduct business, and adjusting and balancing accounts between debtors and creditors transacting in Federal Reserve notes, FRNs, who come before it and consent to have disputes resolved in this, America's modern judicial form. And we get into esquires. Esquire from Middle French, esquire, SQR, SQR, esquire. Shield bearer from Lower Latin. Scutarius from the Latin scutum, shield. Arius, Ari, is defined as originally a shield bearer or arrow bearing, an attendant on a knight in modern times, a title of dignity, next in degree below knight and above gentleman. Webster Revised Unabridged College Dictionary. And we pay attention to the underline. Pay attention to the underline, title of dignity. All right? Keep that in mind. In English law, a title of dignity, next above gentleman and below a knight. Black Law Dictionary, first edition. A man belonging to the higher order of English gentry, ranking immediately below a knight, applied to various officers in the service of a king, as a title occupying a man's name. In the U.S., the title belongs officially to lawyers. Dignity and nobility are synonymous. Now, I want to keep that in mind, since dignity and nobility are synonymous, right? And interchangeable terms. All right, so let that sit with you for a second. Let that sit for you, all right, real quick, okay? Keep that in mind. Keep that close to the heart. Nobility, the persons collectively who enjoy rank above commoners. The peerage as the English nobility, okay? The qualities which constitute distinction of rank in civil society, according to the customs or laws of the country, that eminence or dignity which a man derives from birth or title conferred, and which places him in an order above common men. Dignity in English law, an honor, a title. All right, keep that in mind, y'all, because I'm going somewhere with this. All right, I'm pulling over here to park right here, sit right here for a second to show you something. I'm gonna take you across the street over there. I'm gonna show you what I'm really looking at. A honor, a title, situation, or distinction of honor. The state of being noble. Okay, nobility and dignity are interchangeable and they're the same, right? An elevated title or position, a person holding an elevated title, a right to hold a title of nobility. All right, so right there we have it. Nobility, dignity are the same, right? Dignity, right? Nobility. As can be seen above, an esquire is a title of nobility holding shield bearer for the king, Queen of England, and takes the lead against any with whom the crown desires to engage in battle. Officially, all bench officers, bar member judges, and magistrates, okay, keep that in mind, and attorneys in America are esquires. Okay, so if you're an esquire, you are you nobility and dignity. All right, keep that in mind because I'm going to show you something. And officers in service of the crown. In legal commercial terms, they are foreign based merchants in commerce. See UCC 152104. Enforcing the private corporate policy of their British liege lords and employers against unruly colonial belligerents, American quote unquote customers, who are deceived and coerced into using the commercial script currency of the private foreign owned Federal Reserve Bank FRNs, and who also, out of ignorance, bewilderment, and the instinctive urge for survival, continually attempt avoidance and sometimes even unlawful evasion of the corporate policy, i.e., Internal Revenue Code, governing the privilege and benefit, albeit compelled of using such, which we are Moorish Americans and we get into all that anyway, which we not subject to that, but that's another story. And I'm gonna take you to the point of what I'm saying. Okay, we know that it says judges, bar members, right? Bar member, judges, magistrates, and attorneys. Nobility, dignity, right? So should I go here? Let me go here before I take you up the block and show you where they at. Debunking the mythical license to practice law. Okay. Newspapers and television media chant incessantly about the so-called license to practice law. Bar association attorneys do not possess any such license to practice law, but they are nevertheless accused of it in California Business and Professionals Code. Professions, pardon me, code. Now, I want to say that again. Bar association attorneys do not possess any such license to practice law. Keep that in your deck. Okay, keep that, shuffle that, put that in the middle, shuffle that up, and keep that in your deck. And what can only be held as lexical legerdemain brilliance in the devious use of words of the highest order. The code encrypting esquires in government have successfully bamboozled even their own kind in convincing all of the existence of the almighty license to practice law. The following analysis should thoroughly disabuse anyone of any such misconception. Whereas the notion of a license to practice law is scarcely mentioned in state and federal codes, the requirements and parameters surrounding every other kind of license in existence are spelled out in mind-numbing detail, i.e. vehicle code, internal revenue code, etc. The sacred license to practice law, however, is as undefined and elusive as the wind. Where it comes from, which agency of government issues it, whose signature is on the certification, how it is conferred, where one goes so he can see one of these things and examine it, what the tenure, duration, effective period of the license is, and what the cost of the license is. These and other intensely pertinent questions remain unanswered by the codes that voice the implication of its existence upon us. Here's a front row seat for observing the word manipulating esquires both in and out of government in action. California Business and Professions Code, Cal BMP, the 6000 series of which is also known as the State Bar Act. At section 6002 is the solitary code section in all of California code that proclaims that any such license was ever issued, but it does not also tell us which government agency issues it. And likewise, where one can go to see one of these things. Section 6124 of the same code discusses the practice of law and bar membership. Now, there is a distinction now. We were talking about license to practice. Now we getting down to, okay, I'm going to just keep on going. All right. Necessity of active membership in state bar. No person shall practice law in California unless the person is an active member of the state bar. 6002 members. The members of the state bar are all persons admitted and licensed to practice in this state. These two sites appear innocent enough, but a glaring outpoint is that they reference entirely different jurisdictions. 6125 is applicable only in California. 6125 pertains only in this state. California means the original de jure California Republic, as described in 1849 California Constitution, the 1849 California Constitution. In this state, however, per California revenue and taxation codes mean the de facto federal territory under control of the District of Columbia, known as DC, aka United States, and expressly excludes the de jure California Republic. Whereas California has a sovereign constituency, i.e. flesh and blood men and women living on the land under the common law in this state, signifies the federal state of California with its subject citizen of the United States, persons existing under statute in an artificial realm. There is no other plausible, coherent explanation for not using the identical term in each section. For this reason and this reason alone, 6125 and 6002 bear no meaningful relation with each other. Now, let's go to, this book is really good. It gets into a lot, but I'm gonna go ahead and open up the window of what I'm trying to say, right? We see back up here where it says bar member, judges, and magistrates and attorneys, right? Are esquires. And esquires, we know, are dignitary and nobilities, which are titles, right? Right? So, and I go to here, and let's go. And I ask the question, is being a judge a public office, right? And I ask for a reason. Yes, being a judge is generally considered a public office, right? Judges are public officials who are vested with the authority to hear, determine, and preside over legal matters in a court of law. And I ask that for a reason. Why? Because I go to the Constitution, Article 1, Section 10. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coins a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. All right, and in essence, these so-called state are allowing these attorneys, because I can guarantee you most of these judges are quote unquote magistrates, which they're not judges. They are attorneys. They are attorneys. And they're doing a little bit of double dipping as well, because if they were supposed to be a judge, they're supposed to give up their card, their bar card or whatever, which is a membership, to become a sitting quote unquote judge or magistrate, but they don't. They keep their card, right? And that's a conflict in itself, and we'll get into that later. But I just wanted to jump on here and show y'all that. But please, I implore y'all, if you can get this book called Cracking the Code, you ought to get it. And this is what it is, Cracking the Code, 3rd edition. All right, so I implore you to get this book because it is a really good book. It's long, but we just got to, use our discernment, because we Moorish Americans, we know that. So it's intertwined with a lot of UCC usage and stuff like that, which we don't need because we are the nationals. All right, this is our land. We just have to know and study. Study, study, study. All right, and when you finish studying, you ask, what's to study next? Study yourself, as a great man once said. So I just wanted to bring that to you. Again, I say I want to go to tally you long, and I give thanks for your time. Again, you could be anywhere else, but you came to share your time with me, and I appreciate that. Again, thank you for joining me on another episode of the More We Need to Know series. I'm your host, Supreme L. Again, I give thanks and look into that, because there's ways that we can defeat Goliath. All right, because if you really look at it, Goliath may have gold at the top. He may have silver in the arms. He may have copper on the legs. His feet is made of clay. All right. So, with that being said, until next time, peace.